in the rain,
just walking in the rain,
getting soaking wet.
getting soaking wet.
Thought you're in my heart,
Thought you're in my heart,
but trying to forget.
trying to forget.
Just walking in the rain,
Just walking in the rain.
all
around, barges and bridges, dancing to that sound. Swing your sweet girl, left and right. Cadillac dreaming is breaking out tonight. If there's one thing I would truly love to see, Saturday night trucking hero, watching Lonnie Lee. Rockabilly music, sound. This is a big night, no sitting down. Everything moving, surfing the park. There's a pretty girl, maybe we can start. If there's one thing I would truly love to see, Saturday night the Trocadero, watching Lonnie Lee. Everything's gone wrong. Daddy's little princess's prince has gone. He's out there riding, crying on the hill. Even a pink fluffy twin set can't keep out the chill. If there's one thing I would truly love to see, Saturday night Trocadero, watching Lonnie Lee. Take my hand, God, it's 10:30. Better not take you home late again. Dad gets angry when her clock strikes 12, so then we'll kiss and cuddle all by ourselves. If there's one place I would truly love to be, watching Lonnie Lee. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Lonnie Lee.
I'm ready, I'm willing, I'm able. I'm ready.
It's a ballad, so it's for lovers.
You ask me, did my love hurt? Can't you tell by the tears in my eyes? Can't you hear it in the way that my voice shakes? Can't you see it in my eyes? Can't you see it in my eyes? You ask me, do I still remember how she held me in her arms when the night was so bright and stars were shining? Can't you see it in my eyes? Her kiss set a flame in my heart. Her love, what a feeling so divine. And while I stood in this heavenly world, she turned away and let me go. As still you ask me, do I love her? After all that's said and done, I pretend I never heard a tender loving word from you. You found another love and forgotten every joy. Please help me understand the way the angels planned our love affair to end. I'll never ever fall, I'll never fall in love again. I'll pretend I've never heard the tender loving word from you. You found another love and forgotten every joy. Please help me understand the way the angels planned our love affair to end. I'll never ever fall. I'll never fall in love again.
Crazy music echoing around, budgies and witchies dancing to that sound. Swing you sweet girl left and right, Cadillac dreaming is breaking out tonight. If there's one thing I would truly love to see, Saturday night the Trocadero, watching Lonnie Lee. Rockabilly music, dig that sound. This is a big night in Sydney town. FJ Holden, circling the block. There's a pretty girl.
Give a round of applause to the very first rock and roll dance organiser before O'Keefe in Australia, Alan Dale. Now we've got to sing because he just had his birthday yesterday, the day before. He's 103. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Alan. Happy birthday to you. Yeah, there you go, mate. And he gets all embarrassed because he pushes everyone else's barrow but his own. When the rock and roll industry went through a real bad time after the few short years of its heyday, everything only lasts a couple of years, right? And if you're not on top, as Lonnie said to me the other week on the phone, if you haven't got a record on top of the hit parade, you're not here. But, so nobody wanted to know. Alan pulled so many guys out of retirement to do the Johnny O'Keefe Memorial Show, which found a lot of work for all of our older stars at the time that weren't working, right? And even though we used to be fierce competition with O'Keefe for the dancers, which if we've got time later, we need to tell you about that. He's the best. He's been one of the guys that's plugged O'Keefe more than anybody else. And instead, you don't want to listen to me talking about all this, I'm going to let him explain very quickly to you about that and then introduce our very special guest. And let's see, because this is not scripted, right? This is all straight off the top of the head. Now, we're not going to do a Jade, are we? We're not going to have Molly bloody else, are we?
No way. No, I made the mistake yesterday of introducing Jade, and I said, Jade, you had a semi-hit, actually it was a big thing you really recorded, down in the Riverina. Now, how did that happen? And an hour later, we still didn't know. And to this minute, we still don't know. That was great. He had a 2-hour, he gave everybody a 2-hour sermon. This is Lonnie Lee. Oh, you want to call him? No, we don't want to tell you. No one funny mood this morning. This is my good friend Lonnie Lee, ladies and gentlemen. Give him a nice round of applause. We're very gracious. Thank you. Come on, coming along this morning because he worked last night at Seagulls and did a big show there. He was the top of the bill there last night. It was a wonderful night. But let's just paint a little bit of background really quickly and then we'll move right on to Lonnie because it's his morning. What happened was, way back in the year 1956, in November of that year, onto our screens came Blackboard Jungle. And when I saw that movie, I'd previously been singing with the dance bands. And I thought, hello, this new music, this rock around the clock, I've got to get into this. So I formed a band that was exactly the same complement as Bill Haley and the Comets. And we rehearsed pretty badly there in the latter part of 1956. And in 1957, I opened a dance at the Maroubra Memorial Hall on the 6th of February in 1957. And I gave each of the guys in the band, I think they got 2 guineas each. That's how the door turned out, and that's what they got. I've still got it written down in the diary. And we went out and we bought some nice blue suits because in those days, everyone in the rock and roll industry, as you saw from some of that old black and white footage, they were suits and ties, they were all well dressed, even up to the Beatles era. Everybody dressed nicely. Shame on those these days, they look as though they just walked off a garbage truck. But anyway, we did it right. But back then we started the dance scene, and then we had dances around all Sydney town halls mainly because, remember this, there was no Sunday trading as far as buying a drink or packaged beer or anything. Pubs were shut, everything was shut on Sundays. So it was pretty hard to get places to work in. And I'd started off with these dances every night of the week around Sydney, and then O'Keefe started down at Stones Milk Bar at Coogee, and then Cole Joy, of course, he started out of the Capitol Ballroom out at East Hills. And then along came a new group, Lonnie Lee and the Lee Men. Now, you take it from there, Lonnie.
Oh, well.
Long story, 46 years ago.
Yes, long story.
Where'd you win the Town Quest?
That was, well, the first Talent Quest I went in was Alan Tui's Amateur Hour, which you also did, and which Johnny O'Keefe did. This is before rock and roll, and I went on there as, you did an audition, and you had to present 3 songs, and they chose a song. And there's a guy called Frank Scott, who was a piano player, remember?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, because there's no band, there's just a piano player. Anyway, so I presented, I liked Johnny Ray at the time, so I sang Cry, and I said, okay, what's another one? So I liked Nat King Cole, so I sang Autumn Leaves, and I said, yeah, okay, that's good, what's the other one? And so I sang Heartbreak Hotel, which had just been released. This is in 56 sometime, and it had just been released, and they said, well, we had a guy on a couple of weeks ago, that sang the Johnny Ray one, and the other one's a little bit slow. We've got a couple of people singing slow songs. So I do this one here, the guy with the funny name, which of course was Elvis. So I sang Heartbreak Hotel and came second to an opera singer. But on the night, he said, I'd like to send, this is Alan Tui, I'd like to send a cheerio call to a guy who was on, who won, and who was on, and he's down in Wollongong with one of his first jobs, and all that, and it was Johnny O'Keefe doing the Johnny Ray stuff, right? So anyway, that was my first introduction to anything. Then later on, that was in the middle of 56. Then in February 57, Elvis's first movie, Lovely Tender, was to come out, and it was still a bit, well, who's the guy with the funny name? So not too many people knew Elvis. Radio wasn't that good to him at the time. Well, he didn't have too many songs to play. And so they thought, well, what we'll do is this is MGM Movies, what we'll do is to try and up the ante, and so more people know Elvis and we'll go see Lovely Tender. We'll run a contest and see if we can find an Australian Elvis Presley, not to find one, but to get some press so that the papers will write about it. So anyway, I'm working at 2GB at the time, and I'm in as a clerk in 2GB, and my dream, as far as anything other than in the country, was to be a radio announcer. So in those days, you didn't start in Sydney, they started you in Dubbo or Bourke or somewhere else like that. But I was waiting for a job to get out there. I was like 16, waiting for a job to go out there, and they said, well, you have to become a panel operator and learn all the business of scheduling and all that. So I was in the office there, and then February 57 came along, and 2 of the guys I was working with, they came by and they said to me, there's a contest on tomorrow night. And I said, oh yeah, and I was really nervous. I love to sing, had the guitar, had my guitar, and I love to sing and whatever. But they said, you know, go in the contest. I said, oh no, I hadn't thought of becoming a singer as such. I just like to sing. Took the guitar in and sang for the people in the office. Anyway, they dragged me down to the Trocadero and entered me in this thing. I was a bit nervous, so they took me around to the pub around the corner and plied me with grog. And by the time we got back, I thought, well, I hope it's too late, it's over. Because they said, you know, we don't know whether we can get you on because a lot of people here want to go on and do it. So I was really hoping that they didn't have me. Anyway, right toward the end, they said, okay, you ready? Off you go. Pushed me out there, and you had to do 3 songs. So I did the 3 songs, and the audience went 8. I couldn't believe it. They went 8. So I ended up singing the whole 8 songs of Elvis that anybody knew at the time, so especially me. So I sang these 8 songs and became Australia's Elvis Presley. And the Sydney Sun wrote a big story, and at the time my mother was living at a place called Greenacre, which I think it was called East Bankstown at the time. So and up there, Clark, East Bankstown, Clark, now Australia's Elvis Presley or something. And to my knowledge, that was the first really big article in a Sydney paper about rock and roll. But that wasn't because of me, it was because of the Elvis stuff. But that started the whole thing. You talk about the talent contest. Then after that, I started getting little jobs. I formed a little, while you were doing your stuff, I remember hearing about you over around the Pagewood area and all around over there. And I hadn't heard about the Jacobsons yet, although a little bit later on I did. Then I started a little trio, rockabilly trio, while you had the band, the House Rockers, but it was like a Bill Haley type conversation.
Bill Haley then.
Yeah, you had that going. I started just a little trio. So there's myself and a guy called Billy Moster on guitar, and we didn't have drums in those days. A guy called Kenny Hands. We made a bass out of a tea chest. Remember that? And oh, great sound. It's tremendous for rockabilly. So we had that. We did some shows around the place. They're doing that. Now, I filled in for you one time. You were on vacation at Mawson's at Newtown. And you went away and with your band, the House Rockers. So I filled in there one time.
Yeah.
This is before I was Lonnie Lee. I was Lonnie Lee.
Yeah. And I also gave you the Tempe Hotel.
That's right.
Sorry
Yes.
to say.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Tempe Hotel.
Whole class, John.
Well, there was nothing else happening. That was it. That was it. And I was there, and Billy, my guitar player, had to leave, so I was looking for another guitar player, and they were like rocking horse stuff, you know, at the time. It was really difficult to find. So I heard about a guy who was living in some bush area around Maroubra. I guess it's all housing now. And I went there and found him, and he was like 65 years of age. Billy Blinkhorn.
Billy Blinkhorn. Yeah, smiling Billy Blinkhorn.
Smiling
That's right. He did live out there.
Yeah. So I said, who joined my band? Well, the 3 of us again. So there's Billy Blinkhorn, who actually has got a history of his own. His big hit was "Bird in a Gilded Cage," and he was Canadian. And he came out here originally to Australia with Bob Dyer. They were a duo, and they came out originally and did the Tivoli. Anyway, Bob Dyer, of course, became a big hit on radio.
And when square dancing started in Sydney, Billy Blinkhorn was the best square dancer.
Yes,
a lot of money back.
Absolutely, yeah. So he was really pretty much retired, you know, but he liked me a lot of times when he was a kid, you know, and so we did that, and then I was working in the bank, and they pulled me in one time because all the girls in the camp, I used to wear the light blue coat and the pink shirt and the white tie and all this, and non-conformist, of course. So anyway, the bank manager pulled me in one time and he said, well, listen, son, it's you got a big decision to make here. I said, yes, what? He said, you're going to be a singer or a bank manager? And I said, oh God, you know, this is really tough. And I said, well, I guess I'll have to be a singer. He said, okay, you got 2 weeks. So during those 2 weeks, this is the end of '57, during those 2 weeks, I had a car. So I used to go to, backwards and forwards, I had a 36 Dodge, and it was like a tank. And I was going to the bank on one of the last weeks I was there, and I somehow, coming down this hill, and the bloody steering forgot that it was connected to the car. And so I'm screaming down there and it's going like this, and I thought, oh shit, what's going to happen? So I had the guitar in the back, and all I could think of was, oh, God, the guitar. And somehow I jumped, I can't remember why I did this, but I jumped into the back seat.